So, Nebraska fans, you want to be able to say in 2, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, that was the first one of many. That's what you want to be able to say about the Matt Rule tenure at Nebraska. Welcome into Huskers Live right here at the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you all stopping by. Leave those comments and questions, everyone, and we will get to them. We got the usual cast of characters, especially this guy down below here, Greg Peterson, Husker Online. He's the guy that makes this happen for us each and every week. Always appreciate Greg being here, 138 strong. Justin Adams holding down that post-game show for us after the Huskers each week after they get done. Justin, it must have been nice to be able to do one after a win.
Yeah, I didn't have the pitchforks, the flaming pitchforks coming at me in the comments. So it was nice to have a little bit of a relaxing post-game, a little fun post-game celebration, talk about some good. So unfortunately, we have to talk about a little bad today. So
yeah, Greg, you're going to have to talk a little bad here. 2 running backs gone for the season, Rahmir Johnson and Gabe Ervin off to a nice start. Obviously, he made his way to the starter spot, and Dwight Boodle on the defense, 3 out for the season.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and your heart really goes out for those guys, and obviously all their teammates as well. Send their thoughts and prayers, and guys like Rahmir Johnson, who's a senior and has been through it all, and Gabe Ervin, also a guy that has battled injuries too, and it's a tough pill to swallow when you look at it now that. If you go back to early August, that Nebraska's lost 4 of their big playmakers. You talk about Xavier Betts and Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, and now Gabe Ervin and Rahmir Johnson. So, next man up mentality. And it was kind of shocking yesterday when Coach Rule started his press conference with that news. I didn't think anybody expected to hear that. So it was a collective jaw drop in the media room yesterday. So, yeah, it's tough, but, next man up mentality. That's what you got to do. So Anthony Grant, now it's his gig. So you roll with Anthony Grant and, a couple other young pups that haven't played much.
Yeah, and that's the thing right there is Anthony Grant is a semi-known factor. Well, more than a semi-known factor. He ran for almost 1,000 yards last year. So a known factor. I'll correct myself there. And then we get beyond him, and that's where you're going to need 2 guys for sure. If they stay completely healthy, you need 2 guys. And then if you're up by 4 touchdowns, you go to the 3rd guy, and just so he holds on to the football, then you're good. So you need 2 productive guys, and then you really need 3 to guard against the injury, to guard against a lot of things, and maybe guys that are more versatile and can do some different things. So you give yourself some options there. So, Justin, what do you think about this running back situation?
Well, it seems like, I talked about him earlier in the year, and I even talked about him on one of the videos with Chancellor I did. Emmett Johnson. He's a redshirt freshman, but I think he could be extremely good. I think if we get him on the field, he's going to be able to create a lot of things. Kind of like I'm excited for him and Billy Kemp, especially coming into the season. So, in one breath, it's exciting that we get to see a little bit of that youth that we have. But the third one is true freshman Quentin Ives, I believe, and so that's a very inexperienced running back room. So it's going to be heavy on Grant, and if he goes down, we're in a tight situation. One of the things that I think will help is, of course, it doesn't seem like Rule is going to stop the running back or the quarterback running usage. He seems to have doubled down on that, like he wants to continue that. So, we're still going to have those guys that all can run too. But yeah, it's just the inexperience is scary, but it's exciting to see, like I said, Emmett Johnson. I've been really wanting to see him, but you feel for Gabe Ervin. He's him and Rahmir have done everything the right way since they got to the university, and especially Rahmir being a senior, it's really rough for him. So, but yeah, it's a next man up, kind of like they've been doing with everything, the quarterback especially. So we'll see how it comes along with the young guys.
Greg, I lose track on this, but in regards to your recruiting rounds, are you a little bit more familiar with any of these guys from following them in high school?
I mean, not really. Guys that weren't around our local area. And,
I watched a little bit of film on Emmett.
Yeah, I mean, all you can do is watch film on the guys, and obviously a lot of high school film always looks really good to the untrained eye. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a powerful back, and he's added some weight since he got here. Same with Quentin Ives. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you got two guys that have been playing on the scout team that have been given the defense fits. So, good for them. Now they get thrown in the mix there, and that's your ticket's going to get punched one of these days, and you're going to get your chance. And now these guys step up into a role that they haven't been used to yet since they've been here. And, the whole team has complete confidence in any of these guys that carry the rock. So,
yep. I can't remember if it was Emmett Johnson specifically, but I think it was him that was in that zone kind of run scheme, that kind of one-cut zone run scheme. So I can't speak to it specifically. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. But yeah, overall, just Emmett Johnson, like he said, put on some size, and he's just, he looks every bit of the part. It's just seeing him get out there and seeing how he looks in real game action.
The good thing about it is with Emmett Johnson is that he's been in the rotation practice anyway with the top room right there. So
because we were hearing about him out of fall camp,
he reps as everybody else had leading into the season.
Yep.
Folks, leave the comments and questions there in the chat, and keep in mind, of course, the super chats pop up and are easier to spot, and we appreciate the support in any such way. Like the videos, get the videos out there on social media, so you can take this link and you can just share it out there on social media. A lot of people don't know that we're doing this every Tuesday. Imagine that. So don't just be selfish and hog it up for yourself, but share the wealth out there. Share the wealth. So Tuesday, 6 Central Time with all of you. Well, we ready to attack this quarterback situation. Heinrich Harburg, 14-24 for a $158 through the air, 2 touchdowns. And of course, on the ground, he logged it 21 times for 98 yards and a touchdown. Greg, what are your thoughts about what Harburg showed against Northern Illinois?
Hey, he looked like he did when he was at Kearney Catholic, when I watched him play in person. He did it all. He had a great night. He rose up to the occasion, and, they ran him quite a bit, which, you kind of see that this offense is kind of geared around the quarterback run. And, he protected the ball. The one turnover was only, the defense kind of crushed in on him or caved in on him and created a turnover. But, he took care of the ball when he ran it. And he ran tough. I mean, he likes the contact. I mean, this is a kid that was the gunner, on the frickin' kickoff team and the punt team for his high school, as still being the starting quarterback and played a lot of safety as well. So, Heinrich likes to play, and he finally got his shot here, and he looked really good in my mind. I mean, not a lot of rust there from the last time I saw him play an actual game. And then, on top of that, Jeff Sims actually practiced in full today, according to Marcus Satterfield in our press conference earlier this afternoon. So, there's going to be a decision to be made. And, Matt Rule is not going to make that decision. We're not going to know until kickoff, really, on Saturday against Louisiana Tech. So,
yep. I just a little bit on Harburg too. Just I think it can't be understated when he did have that fumble. The composure that he had. I mean, I know we had some drives there in the first quarter. The offense was still, it seemed, trying to catch a rhythm, But I saw him on the side, on the sideline with Jeff Sims. Sims was, actually kind of being a leader, coaching him up and helping him. And you can see Harburg do like this and say, I need to calm down. And so as soon as he did and settled in, the offense hit a rhythm. It was the short intermediate pass game. We had some shots down the field, but they were overthrown. But it's really the short intermediate pass game and then a lot of run. So I kind of liked the rhythm that they fell into, and once they hit it, they kind of were in a pocket. So
Harburg, at that particular moment, though, the defense rose up, and we got your back, buddy, and stopped them and got the ball back, and
exactly
really changed the momentum of that game after that turnover, which was not his fault whatsoever.
No, yeah, exactly. He got his arm hit while he was throwing it. He's just a football player. That's the best way I can describe him. It seemed to me like he was much quicker with his processing and decision making and better with his decision making than I saw from Sims the first 2 weeks. But just being more decisive, even without the snap issues and stuff like that, just being quick and more decisive and running the ball when he needs to pick up the first down and has an opportunity to run. There's no thinking. He's just taking off when he needs to take off. He's throwing when the pass is there. He's not trying to do too much. And he let the game come to him. And in a situation like that, where you got Matt Rules, you were about to potentially come out 0-3. If we lose to Northern Illinois, good luck dealing with the backlash from that. And Harburg's put in that situation, first home game, gets Matt Rules' first win, and doesn't make any big mistakes. I mean, you got to give credit to the kid for that. And for that reason, I think he should be just the guy moving forward.
And you're talking about a guy that, like, when fall camp started, he was fielding questions about, are you going to move to tight end? Are you going to move to fullback? Those kind of questions. And, Coach Rule talked to him and said, I think you're a good quarterback and want you to play quarterback. So made all the difference in the world.
Exactly.
So I'll start with Greg, and then Justin, you can jump in.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys were in charge, so you get pretty significant pay hike. What is Matt Rule pulling in? Maybe $7 million a year, whatever it is.
8.
Yeah.
8. So he's got a decision here. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe just riding with Jeff Sims regardless, based on what you know out of Harburg, who's been on campus, obviously, with this school for a long time.
Years, yeah.
Yeah. So he knows I shouldn't say he knows the offense, because it's a new offense for everybody. He knows his teammates. He knows the school. But anyway, he puts up a pretty strong game. It's Northern Illinois. He wasn't asked to light the world on fire. Also gave us a Jeff Sims-like running line in the box score as well. Is there any chance that there's a quarterback competition?
I think so. Definitely there is. And I think you're going to see both him and Sims play if Sims is healthy. They're both very effective in the run game, and, you're not losing anything playing one over the other. And if Heinrich is going to take care of the ball, and if Jeff Sims continues to turn the ball over, you're not going to see much more of him. So, there's a big quarterback competition going on right now. That's why they're not going to name a starter until the very end. Yeah.
He basically just said all three guys are going to be ready to go. He's not showing his cards at all. But yeah, you definitely, Sims, I still haven't given up on Sims in terms of ability, but you run a risk of making a huge mistake if you run Sims out there and it becomes the same issue and we lose again. Then people start questioning Rules' decision.
Turn the ball over 3 more times in a game.
I think the biggest factor is the fact that the offense actually caught a rhythm. I think in the first 2 games we had no idea what the offensive identity was, and we finally found that with Harburg. How do we then pivot that to Sims? Even though it's Louisiana Tech, we still need this momentum of this game going into Michigan badly. I think you got to roll with him and let him get another game experience under his belt. And since the offense was in a flow and under rhythm under him, you gotta roll with that. But
whoever you're going to see play against Louisiana Tech, that's who you're going to see play against Michigan.
Exactly. So that's got to be his mindset moving in. So, and even though Sims is a full participant, I mean those the injuries are still they're not ever healed until weeks and weeks out. So you always run that risk too that maybe he's not a full go. But even if he's not 100%, it has to be Harburg. Even if he is, I still think it has to be Harburg. It's just there's no way you bring Sims back in and have to restart this offense and find a rhythm. Just, we waste that game experience of Northern Illinois outside of the other position players. But, Harburg's got to be the guy. I think he will be. I think Rule is still, of course he's protecting Sims and stuff like that. But I think Harburg's going to end up being the guy. I don't think there's any way he goes with Sims.
I disagree. I think if Sims is 100%, then you don't lose your job to injury, and I think he would be the guy if he's 100% to start the game.
With the way Rule talks,
play the whole game.
With the way Rule talks, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I just feel like he has to roll Harburg. That's just my opinion.
I know that they haven't given up on Jeff Sims.
No, absolutely not. No, and neither have I. Sims is a great talent, but it's a matter of the timing with, we have one game to get right for the Michigan game. I think that's the big thing here is it's not like we have 3 tune-up games. We have like one and then right into Michigan. And it's having that 2 games, especially with all these young key pieces, having 2 games of camaraderie and, rapport is going to be more helpful than Sims coming in for one game and then rolling that into Michigan, in my opinion, because I don't know if the play disparity is enough to counter that.
For some reason, I've got nothing to back it up. I tend to lean in Greg's direction in regards to, I think Jeff Sims is, as soon as he is cleared to play, and if he's out there practicing right now, then I think he's going to be on the field as the starting quarterback.
Yeah, go back to last week when Matt Rule volunteered the information that, if Sims is healthy, he's our guy. They'd be going with him.
And I will clarify, I was talking about like if the ankle too is not like fully ready, especially, but yeah, because what Sims or what Rule said last week is like when he's healthy, he's our guy. Nothing has changed. So yeah,
I mean, he was the emergency third quarterback in that Northern Illinois game anyway.
Yeah, I guess just dealing with ankle injuries myself. They always linger.
Worst ankles of anybody of all time.
They always linger. I'm still dealing with them from a year and a half ago.
That's because you're out there breaking too many ankles of the opponents, Greg.
I'm a little old for that nowadays.
Too many stop and cuts and all that back in your day. Well, I'll put it this way, because I think Greg's onto something. Well, I know he's onto something in regards to the succession that Rule, in a sense, missed on the opportunity to replace Sims for just poor play. So he hung with him throughout that Colorado game for the most part. And then he got hurt at some point. At what point did he get hurt? It was late.
Yeah, it was in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was really late in that game.
That's when Clifford came in and he threw a touchdown to Fidone.
Yeah. So in a sense, he can't. Yeah.
From what I heard too, Sims wanted to go back in, but they held him out.
And I don't like necessarily, again, it's with Sims, the talent, the upside I still think is with Sims. I still think Sims has the higher ceiling, but I think Harburg has the higher floor. And I think it's going to be a matter of which route they want to take. Do they want to go with the higher ceiling and hope that, we can pull some of these upsets, or do they want to go and see if Harburg can just consistently put up numbers and still can pull some of these upsets and stuff like that? So I think that's what we're juggling here. We got the younger quarterback with the upside, and then we have the one here that just played a good game and is just a solid football player all around.
Greg, you mentioned the Thomas Fidone touchdown reception against Colorado. He gets another one against Northern Illinois, and that's what all the hype was about when he was back in high school and being recruited and signed, and that's what Nebraska fans have been waiting for. And here he is, starting to get into the flow, feel healthy, and show the kind of player and talent he is.
Yeah, it's good to see too. I mean, he was literally 10 feet away from me in the end zone when he caught that touchdown.
That's cool.
And you know, it was pretty cool to see the celebration and the look on his face. You know, it's like finally, you know, 3 years of turmoil of not being able to get on the field, and you know, you know, with the injuries at the wide receiver position, you know, all of a sudden now Thomas Fidone is poised now to be that go-to guy, and you know, that's another nice thing with the combination that he has with Heinrich Haarberg, is that they've been playing together since high school. They played together on the same 7-on-7 team for years at the Warren Academy, and traveled around the country playing with each other. And they were former roommates when they got here as well. So they have a very good chemistry with the two of them, which is also another interesting aspect of that quarterback controversy that we've been talking about.
Yep. That was a cool moment. Yeah. And like you said, Fidone's establishing himself as, well, I started to, you know, finally establish himself as like that top target that they can go to when they need, you know, a conversion or, you know, red zone, even that streak up the seam, you know, where he got that touchdown. It was just, yeah, I think Fidone is going to be the big key to this offense moving forward. So whoever is that quarterback has to make sure that they have a rapport built with him and use him steadily.
Yeah, that's where I think Haarberg has the bigger advantage than Smith with that. So I think it shows. I mean, obviously, you know, both touchdowns have been from Haarberg to Fidone, and I mean that catch that Thomas made on the sideline was phenomenal.
The throw and catch, like Haarberg had a guy hanging on his shoulder. Fidone did. I think he got even the second little toe drag. He might have had an NFL.
He had them both in.
Yeah, that was
in my viewfinder. They were both in.
That was impressive for sure.
Yeah. So it's nice to see. I mean, feel really good for those guys.
Absolutely.
Nash Hutmacher, 2.5 tackles for loss, led the team in tackles overall in an effort where Northern Illinois scored a garbage touchdown that didn't matter. So I don't tend to hold those against the defense, because when it counted, when it was meaningful, when the game was on the line and still within reach, this defense shut it down to the tune of a pretty paltry 1.2 yards per carry. Now, sacks included in there, but still, they just couldn't run the ball. Their top rusher at 8 carries for 16 yards.
With rushing yards given up right now. That's pretty impressive. Trying to look at the stat here.
It was 137 total yards. Yeah, Nash Hutmacher had a game. He was in the first half like that. I felt like there was nowhere where he wasn't near the ball on the field. Him, Jamari Butler, we got some production out of the jack position. Omar Brown, Javen Wright, you know, got a pick. Those are the guys that had spotlighted from this defense, but Nash Hutmacher was the big one. Just he was a force out there, and that was something to see. It's weird seeing number 0 come through the line, but that was a heck of a performance. And this defense is starting to prove that, yeah, they're setting the tone, because like Greg said, they're second in the country in rush yards per game. You know, so I don't think it's any fluke, and this defense is going to be the reason that we win a lot of these games. We're not going to overpower a lot of them offensively, but it's very good to have a sound defense. And I think it's the harder side of the ball to build is a solid defense. So I feel really good about all of those guys. Our defensive backs are great. Tommy Hill's the only one that I'm a little bit hit or miss on. Each one of them are out there. They got the speed. They're keeping everything in front of them. And the biggest thing I noted from the defense is not only the physicality, but the amount of guys that just swarm to the football. You know, when you stand up a guy, the rule, the old adage is everybody get to the ball. You know, stand them up and then gang tackle them. So that's what I'm seeing a lot from this defense. And I just see a lot of more intensity and like fire and, the way they're getting into the game. It's just everything's clicking on that side of the ball. And so it's nice to have that confidence, at least, when you have some questions at the quarterback spot.
Well, the biggest storyline is, they played 36 different players on defense.
Yep.
So, I mean, you got guys in there, and I think 18 of them played more than 10 snaps. So you got tremendous depth all across the board on defense, and
staying fresh.
You don't lose anything. I mean, when you substitute, you aren't losing anything.
Mm-mm.
So, I mean, just the high caliber of play that Tony White has created on that defense is just amazing to see him playing like this. So,
and Rule very respectfully gave some credit to the former staff as well for having these guys ready in some of the ways that he needed them to be.
A lot of good football players out there.
Very much so, yeah.
But, a lot of them didn't get a chance to play much. So,
exactly.
Yeah, you see them all now coming to, to battle and being very capable and playing with a chip on their shoulder and, a lot of pride. And, yeah, like you say, it's funny to see Hot Marker wearing 0. I mean, you think he'd probably need about 3 numbers on that jersey.
Man.
Then Ty Robinson wearing number 9.
Yep.
Also kind of wild, but
yep.
Those guys are anchoring it, and then you got a bunch of young guys stepping up to the plate. You saw Riley Van Poppel in there making plays in the first half, and Cameron Linhart. And, thankfully he's okay. He got dinged up, but he should be good to go. And I mean, just everything's clicking on that defense. They're a lot of fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was funny too that our old friend Josh Banderas that we've had on the show before. He was doing the Big Red Reaction radio show when I was on my way home from the game, and he was shocked. It was the first time that he'd seen backups in the game.
Oh my God.
Since before.
That's a good point.
There, it was pretty funny to hear him say that.
It's probably like that Northwestern game where we blew them out 2 years ago, the last time.
I am in the middle of posting a poll where I'm going to ask you viewers and fans out there who should start at quarterback against Louisiana Tech. So jump on there and we will
should
see
or
what
will
you have to say.
I think you said should.
Should? Okay.
Who should start a quarterback against Louisiana Tech? We'll see if because it just everybody's showing their opinions in the chat that I thought, okay, let's see how this one shakes out.
Yeah, I
check my spelling on
I'm
Heinrich
going to
Harburg.
have a Purdy. Okay, that's my.
Put a other in there, just see what we get.
I'll put him on there too.
Throw Greg's name in there with his ankles.
Chubba.
That would so and two with that, like also one of the things that I can say I kind of fall into the trap of too is just the feel good story of Harburg. Like you said, just being a Nebraska kid, the picture with him with Tom Osborne that was going around as a kid and all that stuff. It's hard not to root for the guy, but I'm trying to not let that blind me into, favoring one guy over the other just based on emotion. So
in one game.
Yeah, in one game too. Yeah. It was one game we needed very badly. I think that's the other issue we're running into.
Folks, we appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. If you've got a brand, whether that's personal brand or a company that you would like to see reach different audiences, new audiences, certainly let us know and we can partner with you here at the Voice of College Football. So hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Any other players that stood out? You named quite a few on defense, and the stats are the most obvious in terms of on the offensive side of the ball. Offensive line perform fairly well up to standard.
I think so. And
yeah,
I mean, if you didn't see it this morning on Get Up on ESPN, Jeff Saturday had Ethan Piper's block as his number one block.
Oh, nice.
pancakes blocks. So he got 3 pancakes out of that from Jeff Saturday, who rejoined First Take this morning. So, yeah, he buried a guy downfield. It was pretty funny. So, but no, I think they played well, the offensive line. There wasn't a lot of mistakes. I know there was a couple of mistakes there, a couple of penalties there by Ben Scott that hurt a little bit, but in the long run, it didn't cost him anything. But yeah, I think it was a pretty clean game, and they ran the ball very well despite the injuries of the 2 backs. They still really controlled that line of scrimmage against a really talented defensive front that played really physical. So, Nebraska definitely won that side of the battle, the physical part of it. So I was impressed.
Yeah, the offensive line was impressive. I do think they played well in Harburg's hand. Harburg helped them out a lot by being quick, making decisions. But yeah,
a lot
overall,
when you don't drop the ball on the ground all the time.
Yeah, very true, very true. But it's miraculous. The one touchdown in the Minnesota game was the one where the ball got dropped on the ground. So and he picked it up and threw it. But yeah, I was very impressed with the offensive line, and I think that's a good game to build off of for them. And again, I think that had a lot to do with just finding an offensive rhythm and finding something that worked with what we got on the field. The short intermediate pass game's quick. The run game that sets up the run game opens that up a little bit. So it's a nice system in place, and I think it's bringing the best out of these offensive linemen.
And it was nice to see Teddy Prohaska get back in there a little bit, even though he didn't play a ton of snaps, but at least he's getting closer to being able to go full.
That's great.
100%. So.
There's someone in the chat who was asking how the offensive line graded out.
I was looking at that.
Pro Football Focus.
I was trying to logging into PFF, and it wasn't letting me right now.
I've got. Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's what I was attempting to do right now. Not that I remember my password, but I'm going with my old standby here.
That just shut them down. Too much traffic going there. Too much traffic going there now from our chat here.
Oh, yeah. They apparently, I don't know if I forgot my my login information either.
Yeah, I apparently did.
Oh,
because I can't get in myself.
But
I have Husker online. Usually we post that on Sundays.
Yeah, it is up there. I just was trying to log into that as well. Having issues. Seems to be a trend here. But yeah, I did see some of the individual grades. I just can't remember. On Twitter I saw some of them. But I'm struggling here with pulling this up. So
there you go.
Your Martinez.
Defense or offense? Defense.
Offense.
Line.
While Greg's looking that up, Kyle, I did not put Adrian Martinez on the quarterback poll. However, had I put him on there, I would have spelled his first name correctly.
Adrian.
Pretty good across the board here. Bryce Benhart, 73.1. Ethan Piper, 71.4. Turner Corcoran, 67.4. Ben Scott, 44.3. I pointed him out.
Compared to week one, I mean, I think they were all below 60 or below in week
Jerry
one.
Newelly was a 62.9. Lutovsky, 66.1. 66.2 for Teddy.
Yeah, that's solid. I mean,
so yeah.
Comparatively for week one, like I said, there was a few in the 40s, some in the 50s, a couple in the 60s. So that's much better.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I do think probably that has a lot to do. And I think, like I said, since they found this scheme going forward, they might be able to just play to what the offensive line can do and just try to, play to their strengths. And I don't think right now their strength is holding blocks, so which works well with what we got doing last time. And I think that might have been a part of why they did it. I think it was just they were trying to still find something that was, we don't have a deep pass game, so they had to kind of nix that. And then It's just we went from, I think, just kind of like we were trying to do intermediate to long pass game, and then as soon as we mix this in, especially getting Billy Kemp involved, like keeping Billy Kemp involved is key because I think he opens everything else up, and then you can pepper Marcus Washington, and Fidone and stuff like that. So I just think they played the offensive line strength. So I don't think this is something that's going to be an aberration or anything.
All right, looking in the chat here, what do we have? A lot about Jeff Sims turnovers and starting Heinrich Harburg.
Hey, he didn't have a turnover, not even a one on Saturday. So.
He was clean.
Do we have the Louisiana Tech guy?
He is not here yet.
He's on Southern time, Justin.
I will double check on.
It's Mardi Gras, isn't it? No, not yet.
Not yet.
Well, he's not necessarily there in Louisiana, but
true. Yeah.
Kyle says defense will get tested in 2 weeks. Minnesota is meh on offense. Colorado really had 2 players, and they both killed us. NIU is one of the worst MAC teams last year. Louisiana Tech will be worse than NIU.
Yeah, they were a pretty good football team in my eyes.
I think styles make fights, and I think just comparing, especially with a team that's growing week by week, just trying to sit here and compare, like, we understand there's a process, but we have to, give credit where it's due in these games going into it. We can't just sit here and say that, we can't compliment what we've been doing because it's not Michigan, and we will be tested in Michigan, yes, but those are the tests that we need before we can start winning those types of games. But yeah, obviously Michigan's going to be a tough game, but we can still take the lessons from these. And then also, again, comparatively Minnesota to Colorado, there were so many factors to those games that you just can't compare those to the
2 environments to start the season off are really difficult to ask a team to do.
And just with the turnovers,
it's made them. It's really gotten them ready, I think, for the rest of the season.
Exactly. We needed those games.
You can see the way they played at home. I don't care. Watching that game on TV, you don't understand how physical Northern Illinois was unless you were down there on the field. That was a hard-hitting game and just a very competitive game, physically. So, I think, in Northern Illinois, they went to Boston College and won, so they're not a pushover. And this Louisiana Tech team is not a pushover either. So they're very talented as well. They're 2-2 already. They played 4 games already. But
Northern Illinois was, and Rocky Lombardi at one point was at Michigan State. He didn't play much better this game than he did there, but it's just that team was solid defensively in the first 2 weeks. We looted that coming in. They dropped one. Their offense wasn't all that, great, but they were a very physical team. And I don't think even in my mind, we still were hesitant to want to say that they were going to win by multiple scores just because we hadn't seen it in a while. So I think that's still an impressive win. I think it's one of those things that Nebraska fans are hesitant saying we're going to be able to win going into that. But then when we do win convincingly, they're like, well, yeah, it was just Northern Illinois though. So I think we're kind of 2 separate mindsets here. We have to just take care of the games that we play on Saturdays, and then we can focus on going forward.
Well,
seriously though, too, the atmosphere there was just amazing to be there in person too.
Yeah.
With the drone show, the light show they did between the 3rd and 4th quarter. They spared no expense for that. It was pretty funny. The sad thing is I don't think you see another night game here besides Maryland. I think is a 2:30 kickoff in November, which it'll probably be dark by the 4th quarter. But, they can't really do that light show again and match what they just did.
I'll be at the Michigan game though.
Nice.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Well, as Greg mentions, Louisiana Tech comes to town at 2-2. They're coming off a gut-wrenching last-second loss to North Texas, 40-37. And we've got Steve Helwick on the line from SB Nation's Underdog Dynasty and Hustle Belt to help us break down La Tech. Jack Turner, 9 of 13, 145 yards. Tyree Shelton, 152 yards in that effort against North Texas. Steve, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. Yes, Louisiana Tech, it's a team that's already played 4 games. It's kind of crazy to think that this season just started and some teams are already a third of the way through their regular season schedule. So, yeah, it's flying by.
What's your assessment of a team that was 3-9 last year? They already 2/3 of the way to that win total, of course, but in regards to this game that they just played against North Texas and what kind of issues they could pose the Huskers.
I thought it was a very disappointing loss to North Texas. I know they were 3-9 this year, but this was a team I actually had kind of high expectations for. You don't see Louisiana Tech down too often. They don't have too many losing seasons. It was year 1 under Sonny Cumbie last year. But this year, I liked a lot of their transfer portal additions and a lot of their roster.
Nicholas Crawford, baby.
Nicholas Crawford, Nebraska legend and all-name team legend. Yes. But yeah, getting Hank Bachmeier at quarterback and then really shoring up the defense with a lot of experienced FCS transfers. I expected good things out of Louisiana Tech this year, especially in a CUSA conference, which did not have too many strong teams going into the season, just WKU and Liberty, really. So, yeah, I think this was a disappointing loss to North Texas. I was impressed by their resolve and resiliency, though, coming back down from 30-14 to tie the game, only to get their hearts broken on a game-winning field goal. But now this team is super banged up, especially at the running back position. They're 3 running backs down now. Luckily, their 4th running back does have some experience in Tyree Shelton. He was one of the 2 running backs in Miami, Ohio's running back duo during their 2019 MAC championship run. He hasn't played too much since then, but he does have some experience, had over 100 yards last week. So seems like it's plug and play. They have a good running back no matter what. But the main issue is Hank Bachmeier is down with a shoulder injury. Sonny Cumbie said during his press conference that he's not sure if he's going to play. My guess would be that Bachmeier does not play this game, and they're going to have to settle with the backup Jack Turner, who did help with that comeback effort last week, but you'd rather have Hank Bachmeier, who has 30-plus games of starting experience, has won some big games before. You'd rather have him back there at quarterback this week.
Greg, anything for Steve?
Nebraska, obviously one of the top defenses in the country right now, especially rushing the quarterback. How are they going to handle Nebraska's 3-3-5 defense and their pass rush?
I'm not sure if they can. Louisiana Tech hasn't been too assertive so far this year in the trenches. And I think that Nebraska's defense, they've overwhelmed a lot of opponents. I mean, they got 8 sacks even on that high-powered Colorado offense. They've really got through every offensive line that they face this year. They made things really difficult for Rocky Lombardi at NIU. He went like 11 of 28 last week. So I am very concerned, especially if a backup quarterback's playing, about Louisiana Tech's ability to handle pressure. Nebraska has a very talented linebacking core, I think, and I think that group is going to provide a lot of pressure and also stopping the run. They're only allowing 1.7 yards per carry right now, and Louisiana Tech, one of their strengths this year has been the ground game. We've had a lot of century running backs. Tyree Shelton got 152 last week. Keith Willis Jr., who's going to miss this game with a high ankle sprain, had 188 the previous week. So they've established a lot on the ground this year, and I don't know if they'll be able to do that against this Nebraska defense, which has been so relentless. So I'm envisioning Louisiana Tech on average is under 3 yards per carry, and they throw Jack Turner into a lot of long down and distance situations, and they're going to have to make some explosive passing plays in order to win with Smoke Harris and Cyrus Allen.
Yeah, Smoke Harris is a real deal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's been there for like 15 years, it feels like.
Justin, anything on this one for Steve?
Yeah, the only big question I had, just from your take and breaking down the preview of this, what do you think is Nebraska's biggest strength? You mentioned the pass rush, but what do you think is Nebraska's biggest strength over Northern Illinois in this game? And then what do you think is the X factor on Northern Illinois side that they have an advantage over Nebraska?
Well, against Northern Illinois, I thought it was...
I'm sorry, Louisiana Tech. I apologize.
Well, against Northern Illinois,
I was just
thought
talking
the
about
run
them,
defense.
like, I
We
missed
can analyze that game. I bet I could even predict the final score of that game.
it.
I think I'm all over that one.
That was my trick there. I was just wanting y'all to know that I knew this stuff inside and out. But no, I misspoke. I'm sorry. I've been talking about Northern Illinois a whole lot this week, last week. So
Well, that's a power run team right there, and that's a team that needs the run game to thrive. And Nebraska really just shut that down and took the Huskies' offense completely out of it. So I think Nebraska's greatest strength is their run defense, and which is funny because that felt like one of their greater weaknesses last year. Teams were just running all over them, and this game presents a very disparity in the matchup between the run defenses, because Louisiana Tech was the second worst run defense in college football last year. And this year, they've been pretty bad as well, ranking 125th out of 133 teams in yards allowed per game. So what Nebraska's greatest strength is what Louisiana Tech's greatest weakness is. So I should expect big day from Harburg running the ball as a quarterback. Big day from the running backs too for Nebraska, and I think they'll be able to gain yardage on ease on this Louisiana Tech defense. And conversely, I don't know if Louisiana Tech, down to their fourth running back, is going to be able to accumulate too much of the line of scrimmage against what we've seen from this Nebraska defense so far this year.
Wow, even the Louisiana guys think Harburg's the guy.
I was going to ask my next question. I was like, who
It's Harburg.
Like, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But
Love it.
But with the injuries to Nebraska, especially the running back room over there, is that giving, in your eyes, does that tremendously help y'all, or how are y'all viewing that? And then also, what is the game plan to kind of try to stymie that if you don't necessarily have the horses to run with, our run game or vice versa? What's kind of the talk of how they're going to prepare for that?
I don't think Nebraska should be too concerned. I mean, every single running back this year has had some success to some degree. They're all averaging at least 4.5 yards per carry.
On the Louisiana Tech side, though, what is their kind of like talk on? Are they, what is their approach to kind of schematically plan for those disadvantages that they have? Have they alluded to that?
Sonny Cumbie did talk in his press conference. He was saying that missed tackles were a big issue against North Texas, and then explosive playmaking, which Nebraska hasn't been too big of an explosive playmaking team here. And that was one problem that they had against North Texas's offense, was they were allowing so much on the ground, and then it was just opening up more for Chandler Rogers through the air. Had over 300 passing yards. It was a 40-point game, and they really couldn't stop anything throughout the entire game. A lot of missed tackles on the back end, blown coverages, and North Texas was able to find a lot of advantages. Louisiana Tech plays a lot of man coverage. They don't play as much zone as a lot of teams, so they were just getting beat a lot of the times on the back end. So I think that coverage, missed tackles were some of their biggest problems, and those are some things Nebraska could try to expose, especially the missed tackles when they're running the ball, because I think that Nebraska should be able to get a lot of good push at the line of scrimmage with their offensive line. I think that they should be able to win this game pretty easily.
I like that.
I bet you do. No, I mean, I think, Tony White, Nebraska's defensive coordinator, was talking about the prolific offense that Louisiana Tech runs. Is that going to be hampered because of the quarterback situation in your mind?
I think so. I mean, I haven't seen too much of what Jack Turner's capable of. He had a good, inspiring comeback last week, but Hank Bachmeier was the reason that they won their first game of the year against FIU. He led a really poised drive at the end of the game, had over 300-yard passing, which he didn't really do that much at Boise State. He looks like a really good fit for a Sonny Cumbie offense, one that likes to air it out a lot. So I think that losing Bachmeier is going to be a lot to overcome in this one, and especially with all their running back injuries, because they have been running the ball well and complementing Bachmeier in the run game pretty well. This is a good balanced offense, I'd say, Louisiana Tech. They might not have the best offensive line holding up, and as I alluded to earlier, the defense isn't where it needs to be, but I think that they're running a pretty good offense there, and their receivers can be a problem. Smoke Harris, he's a good short yardage threat. He's someone that they like to deliver it to on screens, makes a few guys miss, gets in the open field. And then Cyrus Allen, the stats don't really show it this year, but watching Cyrus Allen as a true freshman, he's a home run playmaker. He's somebody who gets a step on you on a go route, deep post, 30 yards down the field and bang, just like that. So I think that Louisiana Tech has one of the best wide receiver duos, one of the most slept on wide receiver duos in the country, and one of the probably the best one in the CUSA other than maybe WKU. So I think that this has a pretty good offense overall. I don't know how much damage you'll be able to inflict on Nebraska because Minnesota couldn't get much, just one late fourth quarter touchdown. Colorado struggled for the first half. NIU couldn't really get much. So something's got to give in this one.
Yep. I think I think what Colorado did that made the defense they wore them down. Our offense, the turnovers led to that. So even that game is still a little bit of an outlier because it was 13-6 up until like 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. But yeah, similar to your point that y'all won't necessarily, especially if Harburg's a starter, we lack that deep pass game. So that's not something that I feel is going to be, we've been getting work in the short intermediate pass game and running the ball. So in what ways do you think, what is the offense in your eyes best case to kind of somewhat try to exploit this defense, or what's the best game plan offensively to go against this defense?
Whose offense and whose defense?
Sorry, Louisiana Tech, not Northern Illinois this time.
Louisiana Tech's offense
against Nebraska's defense. Yeah. What's the best? What do you think is the best scheme to kind of, I guess, try to make something happen against this defense, in your opinion?
I'm gonna I'd go for some explosives on this one with Smoke Harris, Cyrus Allen. I like what they have in their receiving game also. I'm not sure how much the run game's going to be able to contribute in this one, and they're shorthanded in that area. So I think that this one's going to come down to what they can do as a passing attack and see if they can get some deep shots, can get 10 to 15 yard takes at a time, because I think that that's the weaker area of the Nebraska defenses in the secondary. So that's something that Louisiana Tech's going to have to try to carve up if they want to have a chance to stay in this game.
Maybe even try to draw some penalties, something. Just yeah.
I'm not sure there's a weaker spot in the Nebraska defense.
Sorry, my dog's moving.
All right. Anything else for Steve?
No, outside of just I was just really curious that what's the game plan coming in, and especially with y'all's injury situation, man, that makes it a whole, and that's tough. So, no, but I appreciate you answering our questions. I appreciate you stopping in. So, thanks for that.
How much are they making coming to Lincoln? $1 million?
Who making?
$1 million too? Louisiana Tech?
From this game?
Yeah.
Enough.
Can't find the game check.
I'm tired of teams paying us to come beat us, though. So it's not our us paying them to come beat us.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, you got NIU this time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It didn't result in an athletic director firing.
Last time they were here, they won in 2019. So
yeah,
that's a step up.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. We appreciate you being here. Everyone, check out Steve's work, UnderdogDynasty.com, HustleBelt.com, SB Nation. What does the travel log look like this weekend, Steve?
Just one game, and it's a team Louisiana Tech's already played this year, and it is SMU, who is playing at TCU in the Iron Skillet, the third last edition of the Iron Skillet as we know it, before the rivalry dissolves, just like so many great rivalries we've lost to non-conference play. So I'll be up in Fort Worth at the Carter this weekend.
All right. Well, enjoy the game. Enjoy the weekend, week 4 in college football. Steve, thanks so much for checking in and dropping some knowledge on Louisiana Tech.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Anytime.
All right. Good stuff.
Yeah, it was nice to have a little perspective there from his take. And it's nice that, he says we're going to win. That makes me feel better about predicting we're going to win.
He was pretty confident there in that, too.
Yeah, I liked it. He was more confident than a lot of our fan base.
Exactly right.
Steve is my group of 5 go-to guy. When I asked him about his travel schedule, and he's only going to one game this weekend, usually he's like somewhere on Thursday night, he's somewhere on Friday night, then he goes somewhere else on Saturday, and he's like covering like 3 games all weekend, flying and driving all over the place.
I know that feeling.
I don't.
You can only do it if you're single.
Oh, I am, but I got this guy. He makes it a little difficult to be moving, going places. Nobody wants to watch him. Headache. But I will be at the Michigan game though. So yeah, Greg, I'll be out there. I'm sure you'll be busy and stuff like that, but I'll be out there.
Oh yeah, we'll have to get together while you're here.
Yes, sir. I'm down.
Good stuff.
It'll be fun. 2:30 game. So
Yep. Yeah, we won't have to get to usually when it's a morning kick, we have to get down to the bar at like 7 a.m. to get our table saved over at Rosie's to watch Sidetrack. And yeah, those are early mornings. It's nice it's a little bit later, so we don't have to get up as early. I still have yet to, I've gone to multiple games every season, have yet to be able to catch any night game other than the Ohio State blowout College game day. That was
unfortunate.
Can never time it right, but
yeah, that Michigan one last time Michigan was here, that was pretty memorable.
yeah, I wish I would have been able to go to that one. That was memorable in all the wrong ways too.
Yeah, well, it was a hell of a game, and
yeah,
I think that's the first time they broke out the Thunderstruck third quarter night show, which really fired everybody up.
My phone got thunderstruck in that game. Fell victim, my phone screen. That was a frustrating game, but yeah, I'm excited for this week. I'm really excited just to see who gets the nod, and we got whoever gets the nod. We're pulling full send for this Michigan. We got to get ready.
Yep, gets
there
real.
it is. All right, everyone. Appreciate you being here at Huskers Live. We do this every Tuesday. You see it right there on the banner, 7 Eastern, 6 Central. Get on back next Tuesday. In the meantime, check out Greg's work on Husker Online. And also, of course, post-game with Justin. So after Nebraska and Louisiana do battle, take out your frustrations, or hopefully we're expecting celebrate with Justin and even it up at 2-2. And you guys all celebrate together. And that's right here at the Voice for College Football, GBR. And join Justin and have a good time.
Justin deserves credit for sticking with it there after the first 2 losses. So.
Hey, that was tough, man. That was especially the first night. I don't know if you saw that or heard about it, but the first night we had a monsoon come through. I'm in Arizona, and it took my power out like 5 times during the live stream. So my computer would shut off, the live stream would go blank, and I'm trying to call Mark. He's in the middle of the live stream. So the first one I was battle tested, so I'm ready.
Well, it was funny because
get your basement filling up with water.
Yeah.
Well, or filling up with dust, basically.
Yeah.
And so it was funny because I was doing this 24-hour live stream nonsense. And I had a guy in Arizona that was supposed to take over for me the last 3 hours. And he was, at first it was Justin with the post game for Nebraska saying, you got these storms and the power keeps going out, And I'm thinking storm as in just your standard lightning and thunderstorm. And then a couple hours later, it's this guy, Matt, that was going to relieve me and he's telling me the same thing. And I'm thinking, oh, he lives in Arizona too. So they must be, and again, you grow up in Ohio and you think thunderstorms. That's pretty much what you think when somebody says storms. And
right.
Then Justin sends me, then it's like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And we realize while we're doing our post game and doing all the coverage here and taking calls and so forth, that Arizona State has had like a 3-hour delay to their game. And I'm like, oh, well, that must be part of it too. So I flip on the Arizona State game at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. And they're just getting back out on the field, finishing up the game. And then Justin sends me some photos, and some other people did as well, that I'm looking, and it looks like something out of the, like it's Armageddon or something, like it's the end of the earth, where there's dust waves of sand and dust headed toward the city. I'm like, oh, that kind of storm.
Wow.
Yeah, there was that one, and then this one. Yeah, it was.
It
was one for the ages, that's for sure. But yeah, I have no issues. I have never had any issues. That was the first time since I've been in this house for over a year that the powers went out, and it happened the night of the post game, during the post game. So fun times.
All right. So we believe that Justin will be with you for post game after the Nebraska.
I'll figure it out.
Attack.
One way or another.
Sandstorm.
I'm resilient. I'll never give up on it. I got you.
No, you didn't. No doubt. Again, in the meantime, it's Husker Online with Greg. Check out all that Greg and the rest of the crew there has to offer. All right, guys, we did it again. So thanks for making this happen. We'll see you next week.
That's good.